All right. What is up, everybody? Welcome to this special edition of NSKA Live, previewing the big Hobie Bass Open Series coming to Lake Dardanelle. We've got some awesome guests in here with us tonight. We got elite tournament angler and elite tournament director Mcwhorter from the Bass Open Series up there. NSKA Central's Garrett Morgan. And then everybody probably knows, I'm going to call him if not the best, one of the best YouTube educational hosts out there from Fish the Moment, Jonny Shultz. Thank you guys for joining us.
Yeah, man, thanks for having us.
Yeah, man, it's going to be fun. And before we get to talking, I'll just give everybody a little heads up. Obviously, Hobie doesn't partner with any one particular club this year. We did host a satellite for them last year. So you might ask, why is the Natural State hosting this preview? Well, as the largest club in the state, and kind of, I'm sure I'm speaking for all the other clubs in our state, we love it when big tournaments come to our region. We don't always get them here. So we're doing everything we can to try to draw numbers to this tournament and keep those big tournaments coming back. They had one in Texas already this year. They blessed us with having the TOC on Lake Ouachita last year. Thank you, AJ. It's Ryan Lambert's favorite lake, if anyone didn't know that. Having the TOC there last year, he came back this year to Dardanelle, and I'm always begging him to bring another one back in 2021, and we don't know how that's going to go. But in order to keep these big events coming to the central U.S., people got to show up. So here we are to talk about it and see if we can get a little interest going for the tournament. So, AJ, why don't you get us started for anyone that's not familiar, just kind of give a little background on the Bass Open Series and what it's all about and why people ought to give it a shot.
Yeah, Jeff, appreciate you bringing us all together tonight. One of the best hosts in the game as well, man, and we appreciate what you do for us, promoting these events and anglers and all of that stuff. So, if you're not familiar, we're actually wrapping up our season. We've got 2 open events left. The Hobie Bass Open Series is a 2-day, 5 fish each day, catch, photo, release, kayak tournament. It's pedal or paddle only, and it's been awesome this year. The support's been amazing. We've been at some amazing fisheries, and our anglers have shown out. We've all sat back and watched Lake Dardanelle show up on schedule after schedule after schedule for pros for years. And we had the opportunity to bring the kayaks there to see what this section of the Arkansas River is all about. And, to add to that challenge is September. September can be an interesting month as far as what the fish are doing, what the pattern is. And it's going to be a battle out there, and we're excited to see who is going to come out on top. And so what you're fishing for in this event, obviously we pay out, we've got published pay scales, good money to our anglers. It's all based on how many people show up, but no matter how many people show up, the top 3 anglers are going to get qualified for our 50 angler Tournament of Champions in Knoxville, Tennessee this November. So we've only got 6 more positions available between our 2 opens left, and then we are in our last 2 events to earn points. The Angler of the Year points may or may not come out today, maybe tomorrow, depends on when we can get that post up. It seems to be a hot topic right now, but we've got it finalized, we've got the graphics made, and we're going to get that post out, and people are going to see. I mean, it's tight at the top, like crazy tight. And then there's a group of anglers that are right behind them. But then there's that next group of like top 12 to top 40 that are all trying to make a jump into this thing. And then there's some really big names that are in the top 100 that only have 2 events or 1 event. And they're counting on a big fall push to try to make those 20 anglers that are going to qualify to finish out this field. So there's a lot at stake. Once you make it to the TOC, you're fishing for a spot on the Team USA for the Hobie Fishing Worlds. So there's current opportunities, next level opportunities, and some straight cash going out. And it's going to be an awesome event.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I know, Garrett, you can kind of speak to that because you fished a couple of events. You actually qualified for the TOC last year. You want to tell everybody, how that was and how the Hobie events treat you when you show up?
And it's a pretty awesome experience. And I think the biggest difference with Hobie as far as a national trail versus other trails is, they've been really open about how things are run. And I appreciate that as an angler. Like, they're very straightforward with where your entry fees are going, how those entry fees are paid back. And even though, yes, Hobie puts it on, it doesn't have a commercial feel to it. It's not like it's all about Hobie. It's actually really about the angler. And so that's what I've really appreciated is that, AJ, who's an elite angler, he kind of knows what anglers want as a tournament director. And so I appreciate him, kind of really putting his fishing career to the side for a bit to help create something that's for anglers and really has some good momentum going. It's 100% payback. Of course, each event that they have, you pay a piece into the entry fee. A certain percentage of that is going to be paid back to the anglers at that event, and then another percentage of that is going to be taken away to the Tournament of the Champions to be paid out there as part of that. And so I've just always appreciated just how open the Hobie series is. I fish out of an Old Town. I'm just as welcome as anybody that were to come fish out of a Crescent or a Jackson or any other, kayak. And they always have, it's always catered at the TOC. They treat you well, make sure you're fed. And really, it just runs very smooth overall. I appreciate the 2-day format as well. I think that allows the cream to kind of rise to the top. Any Joe Blow times can go out there and hit 5 on the head, schooling on day one or something like that. But when you throw in a 2-day tournament, I mean, really, you have to really adjust and adapt a little bit more. So I've always liked the 2-day format. I'm hoping to make this my third event, and maybe I can sneak in there through points this round. But they've been fun to go fish for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about you, Garrett, but everyone I've been to, which this year's has been a clunker for me. I've only been to one this year, but everyone I've been to last year and this, you are as close as kayak fishing can be to being treated like a professional at the captain's meeting and the weigh-ins.
Well, and absolutely, and the top of the top, as far as talent's going to be there.
Yeah.
You're competing against the best in the nation, and there's a lot of folks in this region, AJ, that I really feel like maybe not a lot of people know them nationally, but if they sign up for this event, their names could very easily be popping on the top of that leaderboard. So it's really cool for an event like this to come to Lake Dardanelle, because I fished against these guys locally, and I can tell you, it's been a struggle for me this year to even, stay in the top of our local AOY. And so I'm really eager to see and hopeful that some of these guys will sign up and kind of put their, skills to the test against some of the folks that would be traveling from out of state, some of the Christine Fishers and, the Mark Pendergraphs out there and the Matthew Scotches. Yeah, well, hey, man, that's my boy right there. Lake Washita, we had a good time down there. But, some of these folks that may travel up from out of state and kind of, give people an opportunity to test their skills.
AJ, we're going to get Iaconelli down for this one. Johnny, I don't know if you're aware of these kayak tournaments, but Mike Iaconelli actually fished the last one.
Really? That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Iaconelli was last place money, man. Went home with $700, so he was pretty jacked up in his first tournament to show out and grind out for 2 days, and he learned a lot. I don't think this event is one that he's able to now. I think he's kind of got his eyes on the Coosa chain, where we're fishing Neely, Henry, and Weiss out of Gadsden, Alabama. And I know he's looking at, now that he's got that one open under his belt, if he can't make Coosa chain, he's got that shootout in Knoxville the Friday before on his agenda. So that last chance qualifier where 2 anglers get in the Friday before is, that might be a little tougher if Ike decides to show out for that one.
Yeah. So the number one question we're getting, and I want to get to Johnny. The main reason I invited Johnny on the show, and he was so gracious to accept and talk. If anybody follows him on YouTube, a lot of his early videos were shot in Central Arkansas. We were talking before he came online. He's fished a ton of tournaments at Dardanelle itself. So we knew he'd be the best guy we could get on to be an expert about, without giving up too much juice, expert about Dardanelle. So the number one question we're getting, though, is Johnny fishing this tournament.
Well, right now I currently don't have a kayak. One is actually on a truck from Bonafide coming my way. And then I'm getting it all rigged up with the bass tank. We're going to get all of the electronics on it. And I don't know if we'll be able to fish this tournament, but I'm going to be doing a lot of offshore kayak fishing videos coming up and talking about how you can go graph offshore, catch them on big flutter spoons, deep diving crankbaits, video game fishing, all that stuff. And so I'm excited to, one, learn how to do that and also teach you guys how to do it.
That's awesome. Yeah, and you're up here in Northwest Arkansas, so you need to – maybe I can tag along one day. That'd be cool.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But, yeah.
Hey,
go ahead,
if you
AJ.
need a kayak, man, we're kind of known for this thing. We're able to get kayak anglers that are flying in or coming in. We normally have 2 to 4 kayaks available an event. So I'll be getting in Wednesday night. Have a boat available if you decide that you just can't help yourself, man. You want to get out there and see what this thing's all about. We can absolutely make it happen.
Awesome. Well, we can talk after the stream and see if we can make that happen.
All right. Everybody heard it. So yeah, Jonny, for people that are coming, we got hopefully a lot of people coming from Missouri, Tennessee, Mississippi, Texas, and even further than that, I hope. But they don't know about Dardanelle. They've seen it on maybe a YouTube video of an old FLW tournament or something, but they've never been there. What can they expect from Lake Dardanelle?
Well, first off, Lake Dardanelle is pretty much my home lake. It's my favorite lake in the United States. If I could go fish one day anywhere, I'm talking anywhere, it would be Lake Dardanelle because it has the most diversity of any fishery you're pretty much going to find across the nation. You have on the lower end of the lake, deep ledges where you can catch them off of shell beds and offshore techniques like you might see on the Tennessee River. There's a lot of shallow water willow grass you can go flip. I mean, it's literally everywhere, shallow water willow. You can go fish riprap all day long and catch fish. There's old strip mines with super clear water and deep brush piles. And then once you get out of the lower end of the lake, you go up the lake and it turns more into like the Arkansas River, a river itself. And you have lily pads, you have wing dams, laydowns, you have giant backwaters where you can go for miles back in these creeks. And there's so much water to cover. And really, there's something that can play to everyone's strength. And every time I go to Lake Dardanelle, I always fish a different way. And I've caught them literally on every single technique I've ever tried on Dardanelle. I've been able to make it work. So there's something there for everyone. September is probably the toughest time on Dardanelle to go out and catch numbers and catch quality, but they're in there. And again, this is the fall transition time of year, so there's going to be fish deep and shallow. So whatever you like to do, you should be able to find fish out there biting.
So it sounds like no matter where you're coming from, you can find something that fits your style.
Oh yeah, I mean there's eelgrass. If you're even coming from like Florida or whatever, there's some grass you can fish. Up north, if you come up from that range, I mean obviously you guys are familiar if you have largemouth lakes fishing grass, so that's a player right there. And then guys coming from this area obviously are very used to fishing on like rivers or rock. So I mean there's something for everyone. One thing I would highly recommend is do some map study before you go and just look and see which section of the lake fits your eye and looks like your home lake, because that is where you're going to succeed. Don't try to go force the water willow bite if you've never caught fish out of water willow, or don't go force a riprap bite or something like that. If you have a strength, go find it. There is something on the map that will fit your strength.
Hey, we had a question from Jim Clark. He asked, what do you think the heavy rains from this hurricane blowing up from the south will do? I mean, the tournament's not for 2 weeks, so I don't know how much effect. What do you think?
It depends on how much rain you get. Obviously, Dardanelle is part of the Arkansas River, and so as that rain comes through, it can raise the water level. But being 2 weeks out, depending on how Missouri and everything is, they could drop the plug out of that pool, pull the plug, drop the water, and the 2 days you're there, all the water willow could be high and dry. But at the same time, the water could also be 2 feet high or 1.5 feet high, and all that water willow is flooded. And that completely changes the dynamic of this fishery. The water level fluctuations constantly change where these fish position, how they position. I mean, if they're pulling a ton of current, the main river and like way up on the river, you can absolutely crush them fishing square bill crankbaits, spinnerbaits, buzzbaits, just on the main river. And then when there's no current, those fish will kind of reposition and they might pull up on sandbars and isolated laydowns on the main river. And you're not going to have as easy a time finding them because they'll get really keyed in on isolated pieces of cover, but they're still there. And that can change from day to day. I've fished tournaments where literally I've ran up that river one day, fishing wind dams in practice, catching 18 to 20 pounds of bass. I don't know what that means in inches, and apologize, guys, the boat guy here, but catching big bass. And the next day, the lakes dropped a foot and the current stopped. And I had to go fish sandbar drops and fish, little tiny poppers and squarebills on flats with logs and stuff. And I still caught them, but I had to change. And so keeping an open mind and really paying attention to the current flow, the water level, that's what's going to help some guys succeed and win the tournament.
Jim just said that's the best answer to a podcast, or best answer to a question on a podcast ever. That's something coming from Jim. And everybody else is saying cut him off. He's giving too much information.
Well, I was going to pull up the map and give away some stuff. I can't give away everything. I used to be a local. I know all the locals out there. So if one of them watching this, I can't give away too much juice, but I could pull up a map if people don't care. But, that's up to you guys. I got Google Earth and Navionics prepared. You guys know I love showing maps and talking.
Oh, yeah.
I could talk all night about it.
Yeah, man. I don't know if you guys are familiar with his website, but Jonny and Randy Blockett, they break down maps all over the country, and they've got some pretty awesome stuff on the fishthemoment.com website. And Katie Baca came over from the KBN live stream to the NSKA live stream, and she's sharing the links to all that stuff down there below. So appreciate you, Katie. Always on top of things. Now, Garrett, are you fishing? There's a tournament for the River Valley kayak anglers this weekend. Are you fishing that?
With the rain that we got, absolutely. So before this hurricane came through, I was thinking I might set it out, but I'm gonna definitely sign up and fish it now. A little water, I think, would help the situation. Exactly what Jonny just said, though. I talked to someone from Hobie today, just kind of did a little preview write-up. Said the exact same thing. Whatever you're comfortable with, whatever your strength is, there's a place to go find it on this system. There's lots of places to flip. There's plenty of places if you want to go use a drop shot on a bridge. And exactly what Jonny was saying about that current. Those fish will set up. You can absolutely smash them if the current's right. And then the downside, like he was saying, if they shut that off, it's going to change on you in a hurry.
That's what I was trying to tell my buddy Lambert. He don't want to come back to Arkansas, but the Tennessee River, if you're used to that, it kind of sets up that way, doesn't it, Jonny?
Yeah, for sure. Certain times of the year, especially. I mean, I've caught fish out in the middle of the river on deep diving crankbaits, flutter spoons, and hair jigs. I actually won a college regional championship on Lake Dardanelle fishing a hair jig. I guarantee you I was the only person in that field in Arkansas throwing a hair jig in that point. That was 2012, right after Jacob Wheeler won Bass Fest with that thing, and I got an old striper hair jig, took it out to a shell bed out there in the middle of the lake. My buddies were actually laughing at me because they thought that I was just ridiculous for going out in the middle of the river, graphing around, but I found this just mega school out there in like a 7-8 foot shell bed, fishing that hair jig and crushing them. So there's really good stuff out there.
You're gonna have these people scrambling all over the internet looking for this stuff with all the info you're getting.
If you guys want more info on all these techniques and stuff too, I do have a lot of videos on the Fish the Moment YouTube channel from Lake Dardanelle, not in that specific time of year, but all the videos in Central Arkansas and in Arkansas in general that I do. I talk about all these techniques. Everything I talk about in my YouTube videos and the ways I'm catching them is applicable on Dardanelle in one way or another.
Yeah, and trust me, they're good. I kind of stumbled on your channel a couple years ago, and it's blown up, and there's info on there that is unbelievably detailed for free information. So we appreciate you doing that, man.
Yeah, no problem.
Somebody asked, and you can answer this too, Garrett, but they asked Jonny, how many inches would you expect an angler to hit? If you could, guesstimate, I don't know if you can compare inches to weight, but, 3-pounder, 17 inches, Garrett? Is that fair?
Yeah, and I really think for a guy to be in contention and fall in that top 3, you're going to need at least 86 and a half or so a day for 2 days. I could see the first place winner hitting that 89 average 2 day for 2 days.
Yeah, because they're not going to be heavy necessarily, but as long as they hit that line on the board, it's fine.
Yeah, I'd say 14 pounds a day is usually in September what would win. Maybe 13 pounds a day average, which with the length of the fish and everything being skinny in September, yeah, I think that I was doing some quick math on my calculator here, like 17 and a half, 18 inches a day. I think that sounds about right for the winter. one thing about Lake Dardanelle is that there are not that many places where you can go catch a lot of numbers. It's not a numbers lake by any means where you're going to go catch 50 fish a day. But when you get in an area, you can catch 50 fish a day. So there's going to be guys, it's kind of like feast or famine for guys, where you'll be able to go out and catch 5 or 6 fish a day in some areas, and other guys are just going to be catching them every single cast. So definitely stay on the hunt for them, because there's areas where you can literally pull up on one tree and catch 3 limits of fish out of one lay-down tree this time of year.
I remember a guy in our state championship, Garrett. I don't know if you were there that year or not, but he, day one, just crushed him, and he was on a spot that he said the size of a car and caught about 40 off this one spot, but then it dried up the next day. He burned it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
And you guys know that we have our Iaconelli preview of Dardanelle, and he really touched on a lot of the same things that you guys say. I think we're dropping that early next week onto the Hobie Bass Open Series and Hobie Fishing page. But he also said, he reiterated that 16 to 18 inch range is going to be key for this event. And that's something that I don't really know. I mean, everyone's talking about this average of 16 to 18 inches, but let's not talk about average. Let's talk about high-end potential. What is the opportunity on this fishery for your longer fish? I mean, are we talking 22s, 23s, or do you just not see fish like that very often, especially this time of year?
I think your high-end fish are 21 to 22 or so, and those are few and far between. You do have quite a bit of 20-inch fish in the fishery, though. But those bigger fish are going to be your 21 and 22-inch fish. Somebody pops a 23-inch fish, they're going to win big bass in this tournament.
What's the biggest fish you caught out of there, Johnny, weight-wise?
So I've lost 3 fish between 7 and 8 pounds on Dardanelle. I've lost all 3 of the biggest fish I've hooked. The biggest one I caught was actually in a video. It was 7 pounds, 6 ounces. It was fat, though. It probably wasn't more than 21 inches, 22 inches, but it was like fat and pre-spawn. But there's a lot of 4 and 5 and 6 pounders in Dardanelle. So again, not good on the inches translation, but there's a lot of really good quality bass. An average tournament in any other time of the year, like let's say June or like throughout the whole spring, on average, it takes 23 to 25 pounds to win a local one-day tournament. So that is about a 4.5 to 5 pound average on your bass. So if you translate that to inches, there's a lot of big fish. Obviously, September's anywhere in the country is tough, so I wouldn't expect that to be the weights here, but they're in there for sure.
You'd be shocked. These kayak anglers pull up, and all of a sudden there's 95 on the board. Somebody might figure it out.
Yeah, well, and there's a lot of backwater stuff in play, some sneaky stuff that a lot of these kayak anglers might be able to sneak in that I couldn't even take my bass boat into. I know that there's some places, I mean, I can't share them obviously, but I know there's some places where I've run before where I've been scared running in because I'm hoping none of their locals are running out because it would be head-on collision action. But there's some sneaky stuff that you can get into, jumping sandbars and stuff that if these guys can find that stuff, it could be game on for them.
Well, I wanted to ask Johnny a question. Johnny, so, hold on. You see or listen a little bit to us about the kayak thing. And I've fished tournaments here 2 different ways. I fished them where I hunker down all day in one spot, and then I've fished them to where I put in at one spot with my kayak, fished a little bit, loaded up, and then left, went to another spot. If you were going to tackle this fishery, what would your strategy be? I'm just curious. Would you hop around or would you hunker down?
Every tournament I've ever won, I pulled to a spot, stopped the engine, and I didn't move within 200 yards of that area the entire day. On Dardanelle, these fish, they group up in small zones. I would say there's a lot of dead water in a lot of portions of Dardanelle. In Illinois Bayou, where you guys might see as like the main portion of the lake, there are fish, a lot more fish kind of scattered about. But in general, it's an area lake. Find that 200-yard stretch and just change up a lot of different baits. Throw a lot of different approaches. One thing I will say is that whatever you guys think is your standard like power fisherman baits, that's what 90% of the locals are fishing. Spinner baits, crank baits, jigs, that sort of stuff. Not these fish are not seeing drop shots, they're not seeing Nico rigs, they're not seeing stuff like that on a regular basis, and the ability to sneak up on them in the kayak. I think that some guy might be able to even go into a community hole that a lot of guys are fishing, throw some of those subtle, sneaky baits, sneak up on those fish, and you might be surprised what you can catch just by milking a little area.
Clifton Allen just asked, will finesse fishing or power fishing win the tournament? You kind of answered that. It might be a little combo of both.
I think you need both. Every time I go out there nowadays, it's hard to catch them on your standard traditional crankbait, spinnerbaits, jigs like I used to. I'm always sneaking in something unique, something different. I caught them on a spy bait out there before. Think about that. That's a little bit weird for the Arkansas River, but I've done some crazy stuff to get fish in the boat, but that's the sort of stuff you might need to be thinking about.
Yeah, everybody running the tackle warehouse right now.
And it's funny, last year the BOS that I did well at was like Fork. I never fished a drop shot before. I see a kid catch a 6-pounder standing on the side of the road, and I asked him, so what did you catch the fish on? It was a live brim, and I got to look through my bag, and I was trying to imitate a brim coming off this little flat by this drainage ditch. Never thrown a drop shot, rigged it up, threw it in there. I rode that sucker the rest of the summer after that BOS event, and Dardanelle was one of the lakes that I actually used it at to do well later in the year. So feel what you're saying on that. Sometimes just something they haven't seen before, or that guys around here, they don't want to throw it or don't like to throw it, can definitely give them a different look and get a bite.
Yeah, if you go to a regular Tuesday nighter on Dardanelle, you might see 2 spinning rods, and that's probably the wife or the kids' pole. So you don't see a lot of spinning rods on the deck of the boat in those Tuesday nighters.
Man, there's nothing wrong with the spinning rod, man. You can put fish in the boat now.
I carry a lot of spinning rods. I'm just saying that's the local trend. I'm not saying that's me.
Loco's trying to show the macho side. They're not trying to throw the spinning rod in there.
I get people all over the country give me a hard time for my love of spinning rods and the different things that I do on spinning tackle that might be untraditional and stuff like that. I've been doing a little finesse frogging recently on a medium heavy spinning rod that's been putting some fish in the boat, but that's just, they give me a hard time for it, but spinning rods make it happen for sure.
Oh yeah.
Quentin Eccles asked, does color play a big role there, specific colors?
I mean, I have some little colors that I like to throw. I can throw one out there. In a 10-inch worm, I throw plum apple. That's always been my go-to. I don't know if it makes that much of a difference from a color specific, but if everyone's throwing black and blue, it doesn't hurt to pick out a watermelon red or a green pumpkin and throw it in that same area. You might be surprised what happens.
Yeah. What about you, Garrett? You ain't trying to tell nobody.
I'm going to abstain from answering that question. I'll tell you this. One thing I'll do at times now, sometimes this is good, sometimes it's bad. I will go into stores and see what's sold out in the local areas just to kind of get an idea of what people are buying. If you go to the Flukes and you go over to some sort of crawbait, you find that same color sold out, at Walmart, that may give you some indication that there's a reason people are buying that.
Yeah, I got you. And speaking of that, if you're coming through town, NSKA supporter, H24 Outdoors right down the road in Conway, is the only kayak fishing outfitters in the state, and they carry a bunch of tackle. Whatever you need, you can slide in there and get it. And I think, didn't Bass Mafia support the NSKA Central Trail?
Yeah, absolutely.
And Bass Mafia, for those of y'all familiar, they're located right there in Russellville. I don't know if any people knew that or not.
Right off the old highway. Awesome shop. They got not only fishing items in there, they also have some hunting items, specifically duck hunting items that are pretty cool. So
yeah,
if you're coming in from out of town, it's just a cool place to stop in and check out. 2 stories. That top floor has every kind of plastic you'd ever want to try.
Yeah. And then, like Garrett said before we came on live, if anybody's coming in early and kind of figures them out on Dardanelle, slide on down the road there to Lake Atkins and maybe do a little fun fishing.
Absolutely. Lake Atkins is a lake that gets used a lot for month-long tournaments by the local kayak anglers here.
And don't pass up on Brewer Lake too, just a little bit further down the road. If that water comes up, those fish will get in the bushes there, and you can also catch them offshore. I've had a lot of 100-fish days on Brewer Lake in September fishing offshore. Find their old road beds and stuff like that, and I mean it can get nasty.
Yeah, that's cool. for you guys watching, if you got any more questions for any of these folks, shoot them to us. We appreciate them taking the time to be on here. I shared this to as many regional pages as I could find. So if it's on your page, I wasn't trying to spam you, just trying to get this information out to you. We need people to show up. And, Texas, Missouri, Oklahoma, there's a bunch of great anglers there. So we're hoping that you guys will make the trip. And maybe we can talk AJ into coming back in 2021. Who knows? Somewhere close by.
Yeah, we need Arkansas guys to sign up because, man, we don't want an out-of-stater to come in and win this thing. We need somebody from the home state to keep it in. And, I know there's a lot of good sticks scattered throughout the state, whether they live in Hot Springs or Fort Smith or Northwest Arkansas, or we have one angler that travels in from Jonesboro. But I'd love to see it. The title for Dardanelle stay here in the state of Arkansas.
Yeah, and we need to get some Arkansas folks in that TOC this year over at Knoxville.
That's right. That's right.
I had it on the list this year. It was TOC or bust. So I'm throwing everything I got at this Dardanelle event because it's probably the only other one I'm going to get to make. So we'll see. Here comes the drop shot and the spy bait to Dardanelle. Coming from Alabama, Jim's coming to fight Clifton Allen, he said. Is that allowed pre-tournament, AJ?
Goodness. No.
No opinion. What you don't know, you can't do anything about, right?
That's right.
Yeah, David Bird chiming in, the Oklahoma guys. They've said they're going to bring a pretty good contingent over from the Oklahoma club, so I hope that happens.
Yeah,
I know
he did well in our local Dardanelle. He's in the top 3.
Yeah.
I know there's it's right now is a really interesting time because we are in the middle of mapping out, planning next year's schedule. So, this is the time where, showing out can make a difference on how we cater to the anglers that are really supporting this thing and the areas that really want us to continue to come back. So, and then also the other thing is if you're coming and you're able to go ahead and get signed up. I try to send emails out through the Tourney X app just as things pop up with whether it's local restrictions, local safety concerns, anything like that. I can't communicate with anglers that are there pre-fishing all at the same time unless I'm sending out like a Tourney X email because I don't know who's there or who's actually fishing. So get registered early. Registration will close down the Thursday night, midnight before the event. So you have until the day before the event to register. We're looking forward to having a big showing. I hope the Central States show out. They've always got some amazing kayak anglers, and their numbers locally are always really good. And there's some good anglers that travel and some groups that do too. So I'm hoping that all comes together for a big event this in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I'll tell you this: the record. We've never had the TOC was here last year, but that was a set field. Obviously, it was 50 people. So we've never had another giant tournament here outside of, I think, that FLW side thing they had a couple years ago. So our largest tournament we've ever had was 97 anglers, and that was a local event, Northwest Arkansas. So we want to blow that away. We want to have an Arkansas event with 130, 140 anglers. And this is the time to do it. So Quentin Eccles says 115 plus. I'd like to see that.
But it sets up so well, being right there off the interstate, and it's somewhat in the center of the state. Yeah. So folks from Missouri, Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, Missouri, can all come to this fairly easy. Yeah. The travel's not hard and centrally located. It really has potential to be a huge turnout, I think.
Yeah, and like I said, all brands of boats accepted. There's Garrett with his Old Town shirt on. I got my Old Town hat on. We're both on the Old Town team, but we love the Bass Open Series. AJ's our buddy. We're trying to promote this thing and get it big, so it's not brand specific. We're just out here trying to grow. What's the saying? Grow the sport. Is that what you said? No, we're trying to get this tournament big. That's what we're doing. So we hope people show up and show out.
Yeah, guys. Hobie is essentially the title sponsor of this event. You guys have fished clubs and events all over the country where Hobie has affiliated or sponsored your club or something along those lines. Hobie is sponsoring by investing a lot of time and assets into this, this opportunity for us to fish for big dollars and have next level opportunities. So, this thing might have brands affiliated with it, but it isn't brand specific. This is about kayak anglers, plain and simple. And that's come to it, and we'll show you what's up. And just know too that this year is COVID related, and as far as how we're doing things, I know everyone hears the stories of the catered meals and white cloth tables and big banner backdrops, and I mean that's how we like to do things. But this year gatherings are not they're not what we would like them to be, and so luckily our sport still allows us to get out there and get on the water and still compete. We've gone through 3 events all over the country now that have all been COVID protocol, COVID safe, and if that's something that's holding you back, know that we take the matter very seriously as far as keeping our anglers safe and just really eliminating the amount of opportunity for them to be around any extra people if they don't want to. So you can literally show up to an event, never get out of your car when you're around other people, spend all weekend on the water, and pretty much be as socially distanced and away from other people as you want. And so that's the platform we've set up this year. So not only the communities allow us in, but also all anglers feel safe being there. And we really, really look forward to getting things back on track at some point down the road because we love bringing anglers together. That's what we're doing this whole thing for.
Clifton Allen said, Jeff is so excited in the comments. I don't know what he means by that, but he's right. I am excited. Trying to get this thing going. But yeah, we appreciate what you're doing, AJ. I mean, every event's first class. We know you're going to keep everybody safe, run a smooth operation. So we're so thankful you're coming to Arkansas, man. We appreciate it.
I'm looking forward to it.
We've been going a little while now. I could sit on here all night and talk about this stuff, and I know I could get Johnny to start pulling up maps and probably just go for another hour, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to abuse everybody's time. Is there any more questions out there? I would implore anyone watching to share this to your group if you're in this region, or just tag somebody that you know might be interested in coming. Even if you got a buddy that's a bass boat fisherman that fishes Dardanelle all the time, they may want to jump in this thing and give it a shot, because for the entry fee, the payouts are solid. I mean, you can win some good money for a couple $100 entry fee. I'm not seeing more questions. Anything else from you, Garrett?
Man, just hope that folks come down and have a good time, catch a lot of fish. If you need anything, I'm in the region, holler at me. Just the hips jump away from H4 Outdoors. I can grab, if you need a prop, if you need, a measuring board or something like that, you can message me on Facebook. I'll pick it up, bring it up there to you or something. Or if you need a light for your kayak, you left the net at home, just holler at me. See what I can do to help you out.
Same. We can do anything from Northwest Arkansas. We'll try to hook you up. If people are missing catch boards, I know the metal catch board is the standard for the Bass Open Series, so make sure you have one of those.
That's good.
I'll have at least 10 of them for sale. I don't think they'll be our BOS custom boards, but they'll just be regular catch boards. So, that don't let that be an excuse. There's always people that have extra boards. We will have extra boards available for purchase. We're doing everything we can to make sure people can get out to this event and then see what the BOS is all about and fish for some awesome opportunities.
Johnny, somebody said, I don't know what's on your shirt there, but they said they thought you were holding a pug dog on your lap with whatever that picture is on your shirt.
Oh no, this is a down scan.
Oh, that's Fish the Moment. See, just the very top. They saw the top.
Down scan, got a brush pile, got some fish here.
Yeah.
This guy needs to check out my electronics videos. If he doesn't know what this is, he's missing out on his electronics.
That is a down scan picture. See, when it was up close to the screen, I couldn't tell what it was. That's legit.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
There.
Okay. Johnny, before we go, give everybody all your info, fishmoment.com and YouTube channel and all the things that you do there.
Yeah, you can just go on to the Fish at the Moment YouTube page. You can just go to YouTube, type in Fish at the Moment, or just go to Google, type in Fish at the Moment. My website, I work with Randy Blockett, tour professional. I recently have been working with Rick Clunn. I have a lot of interviews coming out with him. If you guys don't know who Rick Clunn is, he's one of the greatest bass fishermen of all time. I'm going to be doing some collaborations with him to do a Rick Clunn playbook of how he finds and catches fish. Working with a lot of other professional anglers coming up here, and just trying to share as much information about bass fishing as possible, trying to really give a perspective on how to go out and find and catch fish in a day. One series that Randy and I do that we really enjoy is the offshore versus shallow series, where Randy goes and fishes shallow water all day long for 8 hours. I go offshore for 8 hours, and then we compare our notes. We talk about when, where, why, give navionics data, contour line maps, all the conditions for both of our techniques. I show sonar recordings of where I catch my fish. So if you guys are struggling to catch fish in general and just want to get better at fishing, the Fish at the Moment YouTube channel is a great free source of information. We also do online seminars where I do advanced electronics classes talking about bass behavior, how to really get into your electronics and learn how to catch them. Randy's doing a seasonal bass movement seminar teaching you guys how to follow bass on lakes all across the country in every season of the year. We have map breakdowns for sale of different lakes all across the country. So anything you want in terms of instruction for bass fishing, we have at fishthemoment.com, Fish at the Moment YouTube page. And I appreciate you guys having me on to kind of give my insight. I love Lake Dardanelle, and I know if you guys come over here, you're going to enjoy it too.
Oh, man, yeah, we appreciate it. I mean, it was obvious you were excited talking about it, and I think you got a lot of people fired up to know that they don't have to come here and just do one thing. It's not like they're going to a lake and have to just fish grass or just fish rocks or whatever. No, they'll be able to come here and hit whatever they like. So it's going to be a good tournament. It's going to be fun.
Yep.
But, yeah, gentlemen, I'm going to let you guys get out of here. Like I said, once again, I appreciate all of you taking the time. I know you're on the road. Tell Jay Wallen he should have stuck his face in the camera there, AJ. I know he's sitting there staring at you.
I think Jay Wallen's been passed out for about 30 minutes.
Oh, man.
Y'all know how he gets when he puts his head back on the couch, man. He passes out on you quick. So.
Throw that camera on.
I got two real quick things before we get out of here. One, the same weekend as the Hobie Bass Open Series on Dardanelle is Jackson Orr's charity tournament. He's got big goal of hitting 200. He's 2 weeks away, and he's well on his way. I think over 120 now. I forget what the buy-in is. I haven't bought in yet, but I always do. I've only fished it once, but it's one of those things. I'm gonna be sitting judging fish all weekend, and I'm more than happy to support him. I mean, here we are. We got a 17-year-old kid in high school, one of the best anglers in our sport, and he's sacrificing time and effort to promote, raising money for charities and helping out. He does this every year. It's one of the coolest things about our sport is it comes together for this kind of stuff. And there's no better way, whether you can fish or not, whether you kayak fish or not. If you're watching this and you want to help support a good cause, let's get in that Jackson Orr's charity tournament on Tourney X. I'm sure we'll be sharing the link if Katie hasn't already. And the other thing, while we were talking, we dropped the points for the Angler of the Year race. So points are live. We got less than a single point separates our top two anglers. Russ Snyder's is in the top spot, and Jody Queen is just right behind him, 0.2 of a point behind him. So it is going to be interesting up there. But we always publish the top 100, and we remind everybody what they're fishing for. Cruise on over to Hobie Fishing or the BOS page and check that out. Still plenty of time to make a run at this thing. You got 2 events to earn points, and then everyone fishes the Tournament of Champions together. And somebody's going to go home from that event with a custom Hobie Pro Angler 360 in BOS Camo Orange, Hobie Fishing Worlds qualifier, and an extra 5,000 cash. So, that's a heck of an Angler of the Year package. We're proud to offer that, and it's the race that we all expected it to be. Got some amazing anglers fishing this thing, and they're definitely showing out all season.
And AJ, what did the TOC winner take home last year? And I think it's going to be a little more this year, isn't it?
Yeah, Jody Queen. So the total prize pool was $40,000 last year that 10 anglers were fishing for. Jody Queen cashed first place check at $20,000. So I know we're building into that 60 to 70 range. We're going to take half the pot and give it to first place. So I would say definitely over 30,000, maybe up to 35, depending on our attendance in these last couple events. But that other rest of that 35,000 gets distributed among the top 20% of the field. So the next 9 anglers are all splitting $35,000 as well. So, and then we're also paying out $10,000 cash for our top 3 Angler of the Year total with prizes. So coming out of the TOC, we're going to be paying out anywhere from $70,000 to $80,000 cash between payouts and Angler of the Year and Bass and Big Bass. We've got some stuff that all culminates in Knoxville, Tennessee, mid-November. So we fished hard all year for it, and we can't wait to see how it plays out.
Yeah, Clifton Allen just said, wow, I don't think a lot of people understood what those payouts were. Johnny, you probably didn't realize that for a couple kayak tournaments, what the payouts were. So very impressive stuff. I know, a lot of guys, I know Garrett, myself, we're competitive guys. We want that trophy as much as we want anything, but that big check is always nice if you can get up there and get it. So
yeah, and the other piece about that is I've heard people over the years mention things about some of these bigger tournaments with the entry fee piece. If you do a few of them, if you'll commit at the beginning of the year to say doing 4 throughout the year, whether it be Hobie or some other organization, you should, if you're doing somewhat decent, you'll hit one and get those entry fees back. Because these bigger tournaments, it's not like when you go to your local tournament, you pay $30 and you win 3rd place, and you might have covered your gas and your pre-fishing expenses. I mean, you're getting your entry fee back plus some to make up for what you may have donated earlier in the year. Because I know I've been there and I've done that, and I've had to pay my dues in, and then eventually do well, and then you kind of at least maybe break even before the year's out.
Yeah, awesome stuff. Well, once again, gentlemen, I appreciate everybody's time. Everybody that watched, we appreciate you that got involved in the comments. I'm gonna let everybody get out of here. Oh, what do we got? There he is. We'll screenshot that for later. We'll send that to the other page, AJ. But yeah, we appreciate you guys, and everybody get to Dardanelle. It's going to be a good time, and hopefully we see y'all there. But I'm going to let y'all go. Everybody have a great night, and see y'all in a couple weeks.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, guys. See you there.